Hello, this is my fully automatic, fully tileable Create 3 farm, which means you can build it as big or as small as you need. First, I'm going to explain how the machine works and then I'll teach you how to build it. Essentially, we have our main saw moving back and forth in the gantry shaft, and we have redstone contacts on either side to detect when the machine is at either end of the track. When the machine gets to the end, the redstone contact will power and it will flip the whole saw. To explain how this works, we need to divide it into 3 parts. First, we have the gantry carriage. The gantry carriage is the main moving force of our machine. When a gantry carriage receives rotational power, it will move back and forth, depending on its rotation. So, we'll see it in action right here. That is essentially how our machine moves. Next, we need to flip the saw. To do that, we need a mechanical bearing hooked on top of our gantry carriage and hooked with 2 cogwheels. Because when a gantry carriage is in a rotating gantry shaft and the gantry shaft is powered, it will stop moving and output a rotational force. It can happen in any point of the gantry shaft. Let's see it. If it is powered, it will stop and it will rotate its output. So we'll use that rotational output to move our mechanical bearing, which will then move the whole contraption. As you can see here, if we power that, the stone brick will rotate. Now the third part is the brain of the machine. We here have 2 redstone contacts on each end connected to a redstone link. What the redstone link does is it emits a wireless redstone output. So anytime the redstone contact is powered, it will be received here in this redstone link receiver. Once a signal is received by this receiver, it will be outputted to 2 directions. We have our pulse extender powering the gantry shaft to rotate our mechanical bearing and the whole saw, and the other one is to power or toggle this toggle latch, which will then toggle our gear shift. Now the gear shift changes the rotation of our gantry shaft. So let's see it here in action. Boom, our gear shift is powered and now our gantry shaft is rotating the other way and moving our machine the other way. For the timing, we're using a 32 RPM machine here. It's just essentially 1 water wheel connected to 2 converters here, from one big cogwheel to the small one, connected to a big one and to another small one. The timings is very specific. So I'm using 20 ticks to power our gantry shaft. That is how long it takes to rotate our saw. If you take too long or too slow, the rotation will be defective and it will ruin your whole farm. So you can test out other timings with other rotational speeds, but this is what I figured out. For 32 RPM, you need to use 20 ticks. Next, after you've done figuring out the timings for your gantry shaft and the rotation, you want extra delay before you want to toggle the gear shift. You gotta wait for the whole thing to rotate first until you want to move it, or the machine will break. So I added 7 ticks here, just in case, just to be safe, 7 ticks. And that is essentially how the whole machine works. This piston here is just an off switch, and because I had an off switch, you need to put a pulse repeater here, because I'll explain in a second when the machine gets to the end there. There you go. Now, we need this pulse repeater because a pulse repeater cuts off the input after 2 ticks, right? And because our machine stays at the redstone contact, our redstone contact remains powered. And if this remains powered, your saw will keep spinning. We don't want that, so we have to cut power by using a pulse repeater. And if you want to turn it back on, just flip this lever, push the piston so our repeater can power the latch toggle. And it will start back again. So let's go build it. First, you want to set up your gantry shaft. This can be however long you want or however short you want. In this case, we'll do this long. And then you place your gantry carriage on one end. Then you place a mechanical bearing on top of that, on top of the gantry carriage, facing towards the farm. And then you want to build a non-plantable soil or non-plantable block. So like stone, wood, or sand, anything but dirt, anything that you cannot plant saplings on. You want to place it here, right? Then you put your saws all along this line and deployers at the back. You also don't want to place any plantable block below this area, because when the saw spins, your deployer can plant saplings below here. So you're kind of losing saplings if you have any plantable blocks here. So keep this filled in, or keep it not grass or soil. So once you have this, you want to put 2 cogwheels here, and then that's basically your saw done. Now you want to glue them together. Next, we'll build the heart of the machine. You want 2 redstone contacts next to each other on this side and on this side, but you only need 1 on this side. The other connecting redstone contact, you will build 1 over the 3 block non-plantable blocks here. I'm going to put it here, and that's it. That's your redstone contact done. Next, you want to put storage on the machine itself. I'm using a chest here, and then you want to put the portable storage interface for the output right over here. You want to put the saws here and also here. Now what this saw is doing is cutting any leaves that can potentially grow in this height. If you don't have the saws here, your machine might break because the machine can't move if there's leaves right here. So that's just a precaution. Okay, now you want to glue everything again together. There you go, and then you glue these 2 together. Okay, now everything should be done. Next, we're gonna do the redstone part. For the redstone part, to power the machine, you want to have 1 gear shift here. Oh, first you gotta put 2 shafts next to the end of the gantry shaft. I'm gonna put 2 shafts and then connect that to a gear shift. Connect that to a small cogwheel, into a large cogwheel, into a small one, and into another big one. So this will make it so that your water wheel have 32 RPM. Or you can configure this however you want. You can put, you can put the cogwheel over here, and then another big wheel over here, and then you connect your water wheel here, however you want. You can customize it. But essentially, you want 2 converters, from big to small, and then from big to small again. So 2 speed converters. Then you want to have your water here, but we won't power this just yet. Next, we want to put the brain. So we want to put a link right here and a link right here, just next to the redstone contact. And then you want a unique frequency. For the sake of example, I'll use a shaft on frequency 1, another shaft on frequency 1. Oops, 1. So if you have multiple of these 3 farms for each saplings, it won't interfere with each other. You gotta have a unique signal frequency. Okay, you can leave this blank or you can have another item here. It depends on the receiver. So for the sake of example, I will just use 1 on frequency 1. Next, you want to have a connection to the gantry shaft itself, like so. Then you want a latch, a pulse repeater, and then an extender, pulse repeater, and you want another link here using a wrench or your empty hand, shift right click. If you want to add an off switch, put a normal repeater here, a block here, and a dust here, and then you just connect this to a piston. Alright, right now it's on, and then you go to the timings. As I said before, this is 27 tick delay, just to be safe. And then this one is a 20 tick delay. It's basically your brain done. Oh, remember to put the same frequency as what you have on this link. Okay, so we have 1 shaft on frequency 1. That should power everything, right? Okay, now the only thing you need to do is just power the machine, and it will work. Oh, one more thing. You want to put a filter on this thing. So let me turn it off first. Alright, you gotta put cogwheels at the other end as well. Don't forget that. I forgot that, and this did not spin. So let me reset that. Spin. Okay. Now you want to put filters on the deployer, so only saplings get used. If you don't use this filter, you might place down the logs that's part of your output, right? So you want to have that filter on so it only places saplings. So for the storage output, if this is where your storage output is, this is your gantry, you want to skip one block, and then you want to put it in this block right here. So get where your storage interface level is, right? So this is the level, and you want to place it here, facing towards the machine, and then you want to place a funnel. You can use an andesite funnel. You don't have to use a brass funnel. The funnel will lead to a chute or a hopper, whichever you want, and then you want to add a filter that disallows your sapling to go out of the machine. So you're going to place it there, and then that's basically your whole machine done. Let's turn it on. Oops, let's turn it on. This will clog up eventually if you have too much saplings in your chest, but by that point I think you have all the wood that you'll ever need. So keep monitoring that. If this machine fails, you either have to empty your output, or you gotta reset the machine because the chunk have unloaded. That is essentially how you build a machine. So there are some changes you need to make depending on what sapling you're going to plant, mainly the spruce saplings, okay? So this is one of the modifications you need to make. You need to skip 4 blocks away from the main gantry shaft, right? And replace them with saws. Don't use deployers, so you don't plant the saplings here. You can change this to any other block, just to be safe, because some of the 2x2 spruce can grow leaves on the dirt level, right? This will break your machine, right? Because your machine can't move if there's leaves here. If there's leaves, your machine will break, right? Boom, it stops. You want to avoid that by skipping 4 blocks, so the leaves at most will just be here, right? And then that's why you have the 2 saws here. You gotta restart this just by flipping or toggling the gear shift. Or if you don't want to sacrifice space, you can use this type of wiring, right? This is a bit more complicated, but essentially it's the same. We don't use the redstone contact anymore because we're replacing the redstone contact there on the dirt level, or there on the dirt level, with saws, right? So how we detect this is by using observers. There you go. Essentially it does the same thing. So let's build this. Okay, I have this replica over here that is not modified yet. First thing you want to do is remove your redstone contact and replace them with saws. Oops, saws on each side, right? And then for the top side, you gotta do the same as well. Put saws on both sides. So if any leaves grow, you can cut it with the saws and the machine will keep moving. And then you gotta glue this to here, this to here, and finally the whole machine again. There you go. That's how you glue it. Next is to destroy or temporarily destroy the cogwheel and put an observer right at the end here. Okay, and on the other side as well. So basically right on top of where the link would be, you gotta put an observer facing out, right? And then you can destroy this. You still need these though. Next, you want to hook up essentially a 1-tick pulse, this piston. If your saw starts by touching the observer, you want to put this on top of the piston. So leave 1 air block here, right? If there's nothing here, then you put it here. So essentially, when the machine is away from the observer, you want the block to be down. But when the machine is on the observer, you want the block to be up. So when you're building that one, you will build it like this instead of like that. We'll get into that later. So you're gonna put a repeater here, feeds into a block, feeds into a line here, all the way to the other side. And then we'll do the same thing over here again, the same wiring. Put it on here because nothing's touching the observer right now. Repeater, whoops, repeater into a block into your redstone line, and just, you know, have a repeater every 15 blocks. So when you pull the line up to here, place a block here and a pulse extender. Set it to 20 ticks again. Make sure to put a repeater here before the pulse extender, so don't put it after. If you put it after, the wiring here will not power the pulse extender because it's blocked by this repeater. So before, put it before here, right? You just connect this up to here, And then you want to put a wiring down here. And then, as always, you put the latch here, a redstone dust here, a block here, and a repeater here on 27 ticks, just like the other one. Boom. And there you go. That's basically the machine done with the spruce sapling variation. Now you just want to connect back your cogwheels, pull this up, and then you can essentially power it, and it's done. Over. Oh, shoot, I haven't glued it. Whoops. Oh wait, no, the mechanical bearing is facing the wrong way. Oops. We should face it the right way. There you go. My bad, my bad. Alright, let's turn it on. There you go. When it gets to there, we'll flip. Voila! Same thing, just with the saw variation on the dirt level. There you go. If you want to add an off switch, just put a piston here with the lever. Then you want to connect in a repeater here. And like that, right? Why? Because if you turn this off, you gotta... Oops, I messed it up. But yeah, essentially, because there's no way to restart or to toggle the gear shift since we don't have the link that's constantly powered. So you gotta power this again by using a repeater here. So, but you want this to only fire once. So we're using the create pulse repeater instead of the vanilla repeater. But yeah, make sure that it's facing the right way. So you want to manually toggle the latch here, and then it will fix itself. Boop, and we'll rotate, and we'll go back in this direction. And that is it. The Untitled, fully automatic create tree farm. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if anything breaks or if you can figure out how to solve the sapling problem. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.